Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the Jails. I said yesterday in yesterday's broadcast, number 136, I think it was, that I was going to talk today a little bit about the adulteration of food in the prisons. And indeed, I will a little bit. I saw a number of prison officers urinating into soup tureens. One particular officer down D1, and I said to him, "What on earth? You took this big soup tureen out and put it on the floor, unbuttoned his trousers and pissed into the soup." I said, "What on earth do you think you're doing?" "Ah, that'll teach the bastards." That's what he said. So, what is it going to teach them? So, for a start off, they won't even know that you've urinated into the soup. I said, and even if they did know, I said, it's just going to be a disgrace to you, not them. Don't you tell me what to do. So I complained to the senior officer who was in charge of the thing. And he said to me, "You get about your duties." Get about my duties? I was doing my duty. What the hell was he doing? Also, unfortunately, now this is disgraceful. Down D1 landing, I was there at lunchtime one day, and a particular inmate, all right, he'd obviously given the staff some aggravation. He was naked in a cell, no bedding, nothing. Into the cell, all he got was some like a blanket, a secure blanket, and that was it. And he was, and the staff, they brought his meal up from the hot plate, and one of the members of staff reached into the dustbin and got a handful of grunge out of the bin and threw it into the plate and mixed it all up with his finger, and then shoved it, opened the cell door and threw it in. The absolute disgrace. And I cannot say anything. I mean, I'm just down there. I don't work down there permanently. I was down there if they were short of staff. I did say to the senior officer, "Is this all right by you? Just do what you're told." I'm down there to do what I told, and believe me, so were the prisoners. Yeah. Don't forget, overlooking all this, we've got the schoolboy, the black dog. Yeah. Who else we got? Oh, the Chinese money box, Piggy, all them lot. Yeah. Step on the wrong side there, you get your arm twisted up your back. Eh? Think you're an octopus. On the hospital wing in Strangeways, we had a man who kicked up down the block, and he'd obviously managed to convince some doctor that he was mad. He was not really mad, he was just behaving in a strange manner. But he was dangerous. He'd been trying to grab hold of staff when they went into his cell, repeatedly trying to do this. So they'd handed him to the hospital staff. And one member of our noble team of hospital officers had straight in the jacks, with the medication, keep him quiet for a day or two. And when he came to, he was in the padded cells, and we put him. He didn't struggle much because he was partly sedated. Put him into what amounts to a straitjacket. It was like that, except it was a leather belt about this wide, with handcuffs on the side. So he was handcuffed to this leather belt, nothing else on, completely naked apart from that, and laid in this cell. So when he woke up, he couldn't move his arms more than that, because he was handcuffed to the side of the belt. Now, we had written instructions from the medical officer that when he was to be fed, you were to undo one of his hands. So we tried that, undo one of his hands. As soon as he got one of his hands free, he tried to grab hold of you, grab hold of your leg, grab hold of anything he could get hold of. So we overpowered him and handcuffed him back and fed him his meal. So he, for a period of time until he quietened down, which he eventually did, he had to eat his meals lying flat on the floor. And we put it wasn't, his food was not adulterated. His food was as it came from the kitchen. But he had difficulty eating it because we couldn't allow him to let his hands free. Because if he did, he would have snatched us, yeah. And I've seen officers snatched by inmates. There was another man in the padded cells. He wasn't in this body belt. He was just in the padded cells. And myself and another hospital officer went in to give him his daily injection, his sedative, because he was extremely dangerous. We shot the bolt, so if the door banged shut, it didn't lock. Yeah, and we went in. Yeah, now I put my hands on the man, so that he wouldn't spring around whilst my colleague administered the injection, yeah. Unfortunately, he managed to get one hand free and he snatched hold of my colleague by the crutch of his trousers like that and grabbed his honeymoon equipment and squeezed it extremely hard and lifted my friend off the floor with one hand into the air. My friend wasn't very big. He was a runner like me, he was about 10 stone, 11 stone, something like that, and I was about 12 stone at the time. But he got him and lifted him off the floor. Well, I mean, this colleague of mine is absolutely screaming blue murder, and he's in the air. So then I removed my grip on the man's shoulders and transferred it to his throat, so that I was choking him like that with my arm here, the bone across my arm here, underneath his throat like that, until he kind of almost lost consciousness and let go of my colleague, who collapsed to the floor, and I had to take him out. The inmate wasn't injured at all. He knew that he'd encountered one of the staff that didn't like his methods, but he wasn't particularly injured. Now, listen, apart from the adulteration of food, I can understand why prisoners were objecting to the treatment at Strangeways, and if I'd been in there, then I would have objected too. But basically, if you find yourself in prison, the idea is say nothing about what you've done. I mean, whatever you've done doesn't matter, Try not to discuss it with other inmates, and in the event that you are approached for any kind of drugs or anything like that, I would not get yourself involved. But listen, if you want to see it, it's very good, this program, very close to life. It's on BBC. I think you can get it on the iPlayer if you've got that app, yeah. Then have a look at it. It's called Time, Time. It's about a prison officer working in a standard prison, and his son is, unfortunately for him, locked up in another prison, and the inmates find out and start to threaten him. If you don't do this, that, and the other, we're going to mutilate your son. And it's what happens next. Seriously, it's a very possible situation, because when I was working at Wormwood Scrubs, the IRA in the Scrubs knew where we lived as officers. They knew where we lived. They knew where our houses were. They knew where our apartments were, and the IRA used to say to you, "We know where you live, And seriously, so if you've got a wife and children there, you're going to be a little bit cautious, aren't you? It never came to anything with me with that, but do watch it. It's called Time, and it's on BBC iPlayer. I highly recommend it. It's a 3-part TV documentary, not documentary, it's a drama thing on BBC. It has a feeling of being right, yeah. The cells look right as well. Certain things that have changed since I was there. Now, somebody else complained that I was criticising Freddie Starr yesterday. Freddie Starr's an amazingly funny man. He was also mad as a gnat. And what I reported him doing, that's what he did, yeah. And how did I know? Well, I was working in showbiz. I knew that. I knew people who knew him. I know people who went to stay at their houses, yeah. I've been to their houses. I've seen where Freddie Starr was, and I know he wasn't into pre-teenage girls. No, that was PJ Proby. I'm now going to sing you a song because you deserve it. You've got this far in Tales from the Jails, and I know, is it Miss Zeus? Zed? Yeah, Miss Zed. I know this. You're going to love this one. Seriously, I'm going to make a real effort with this, not to emasculate it, but who knows? This is Tales from the Jails. It isn't Last Night of the Proms. I'm going to sing you probably Ireland's most famous folk song. I'm not going to do all of it, but I'm going to do enough of it to let you know that I've sung it. This is Danny Boy. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you, must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. There you go. I'm not sure if I completely murdered it, but it's certainly been injured. Tales from the Jails. Do subscribe. My name's John G. Sutton. I'll see you soon.